All right. We are live. G'day, everybody. Happy Monday. It's Cam here from Shire Talk. And it's an exciting moment for us. And I'm joined here today by Andrew and Elsja from My Property Pro Buyers Agents. Now, the reason we are doing this is My Property Pro are actually a brand new Shire Talk sponsor for the next 12 months, which is really exciting for us. It's really exciting for them. If you're sort of new to this world of Shire Talk, one of the big things that we do here is we love to tell stories and we love to get involved with a lot of local businesses, news and events around the Shire. And a big part of what we do is we offer a sponsorship package for businesses and companies that want to get extra access to the Shire Talk platform. Now, as everybody knows, if you have been following us for a long time, we do have a very good following on Instagram. We've got a great following on Facebook, and we've got a newsletter that goes out weekly, bi-weekly, monthly, that goes out to about 15,000 Shire or Sutherland Shire locals as well. So becoming a sponsor of Shire Talk not only helps us keep our wheels turning, but we get to get involved with great businesses like My Property Pro, and we get to tell their story and help them promote their business and push their message of what My Property Pro is all about. Now, welcome, Elsja and Andrew. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you, Tim. Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Pleasure. Now, as I said, I've chatted about what it means to be a Shire Talk sponsor. And it's a big deal for us because we get to work with you guys now closely for the next 12 months. And a big thing about Shire Talk is building trust and authority around a business and putting a face to the business name. You know, who is behind these businesses? We work with so many local cafes, restaurants, franchises. We've had many sponsors in the past, even in the real estate space, more so on the selling side. And we're going to talk about the difference between your traditional real estate agents and what you guys, which is a little bit different. But we like to put faces to names, which is why we're here today. We want to know who is behind these, because as you probably know, you work with a lot of locals and people who are buying houses for the first time. It's a very scary experience. And they want to know, do I trust these guys? Would I be fair in saying that putting a face to the brand is really important to you and your business too?
Absolutely. It's like with any business or brand, and we often say that to clients as well. It's important to us that the trust is there prior to sign up to the greatest extent possible. You can't know any business to the extent, maybe at the end of the process, but for us, buying someone's home for them is quite an intimate process, even an investment property. And we very much want people to trust us as much as possible prior. We encourage people to build that trust by speaking to previous clients and, chatting to us in person, things like that. So this process that we're going through here with Shire Talk, absolutely a big part of it. Hopefully people can see us, get to know us a bit better and know what we do is very much a value add. And there's a lot of trust both ways in that process too. So we really appreciate you having us.
Sure. And that's I totally agree with that. Even our business, Shire Talk, myself putting a face to the name. I know when people sort of see me pop up, they're like, hey, it's Cam from Shire Talk, and we follow you and you promote local business and you promote events around town. And, even just jumping on your website, you can see that there's a lot of great reviews. I know we've talked about having over 100 Google reviews or positive Google reviews, which is a huge deal for any local business to have that kind of response from your customers. And we'll get to that in a sec as well. So building trust, building that authority, and letting people know that you sort of know what you're doing. And I mentioned just before, real estate agents on the selling side. You guys are on the buying side. And I've mentioned to Andrew a couple of times, it's not that this is a brand new service that's just popped up overnight, but it is a relatively new thing. Traditionally, we know real estate agents help you sell, but there's a difference between getting involved with someone like you guys who can help you buy your first home or an investment property? Because Elsja, I think you said in the video that we did for you, buying property can be a scary experience. So
Yeah.
tell me about what it means to get involved on the buyer's side. If I'm looking for a house or I'm looking for an investment property and I want to get involved with you guys, what do you guys actually help with? How can you help me?
Yeah, it's just taking a step back. It's interesting because I come from the US, but
Sure.
clearly by my accent. In the US, if you're buying or selling, you have an agent working on your behalf. It is just the norm. Like it's not. It's balanced on both sides.
It doesn't matter which side you're on. You definitely have a buyer's agent, or you
always
definitely have.
Yeah, and it's not even called a buyer's agent. It's just an agent because, and then those agents will liaise with each other, and you just have that representation on both sides. So it was actually almost a foreign concept to me when I first moved here, because I thought, well, everyone should have an agent. Why is only one side represented in this massive transaction that people are making, spending sometimes millions of dollars. And so we're just trying to bring that balance back so that it's not just the sellers having this advantage and having the professional representation to guide them through the process. Buyers should have that as well. And it's actually almost quite sad, I will admit, that some of the clients that come to us that, we're so grateful and happy to help, when we ask them questions about like, okay, so how are you going to be buying this property? Are you, joint tenants or tenants in common? Or, we'll ask them things about like, building pests. They actually have no idea. A lot of people have no idea. Even if they've done it before, they still don't. And I think to myself, like, how are people out there doing this on their own without the professional guidance to assist them and make sure they don't get screwed, frankly. And they're not buying a poor asset. They're not buying something that's not valued at what they're paying. I don't know. I think we are trying to bring that balance back so that both parties are equally and professionally represented.
I think you say it, or it's mentioned really well on your website. And again, if you're joining us now or you're joining us after the fact, mypropertypro.com.au, if you want to learn more about what Andrew and Elsja actually do as buyer's agents, click the link above or below this video. But just going on what you said, likely one of the biggest financial commitments one can make. Most people purchase property only a few times in their lifetime. And it is challenging to become proficient at something that you don't frequently do. And I think that sort of ties in exactly with what you just said. Like, I get up every morning, I drive my car every day. I've done it for 20 years. I'm good at driving a car. Same if I'm riding a bike, I brush my teeth every day. Pretty good at brushing my teeth. I don't buy property every day. And the market is changing, interest rates, building and pest reports, like you said. I've got a friend who I think you may have worked with, Ryan Lehman, in home safe building inspections. Nice little shout out to him. But
nice guy.
Nice guy. Very love Ryan.
Excellent job.
Ryan.
Yeah.
But same thing, how do I read these reports? How do I get my hands on these reports? Did I even know these reports existed? I've heard many a horror story from friends and even family who are like, we bought that unit and then we got up into the ceiling and it was riddled. It was full of termites or whatever it may be. And that can be not doing your due diligence or just knowing to do that, right? You mentioned a lot of different things there. It can be a scary space. What are the main things that you find people buying property or buying an investment property for the first time? What shocks you the most? Like, what are the things that you feel like you're rattling off every single time because you're like, oh my God, these people, our clients, they just don't know?
So I think people, unfortunately, in a lot of cases, are very much sold by the flashiness of a property. And property, what makes a good property isn't necessarily how nice it looks. When you buy a property, whether it's an investment or a home, and assuming even on a home you're looking for future resale value, you never know what might happen, and ultimately people usually sell on. You've got to make sure you're using a funnel down approach. So you're looking at the macro area and bringing it down, and the dwelling or the property itself the building is often the last thing you should be really considering. Is the street acceptable? Is the area? Is the aspect? And you've just touched on one very small part of due diligence in the building and pest section. I mean, we provide our own internal reports to clients, and we touch on 55 points of due diligence per property that we pursued. So the building and pest report being one of those 55.
Sure.
As we touch on another 55.
I would have been screwed. I would have been like, hey, just get the building and pest.
Just look at the building and pest. I mean, I need a fire flood zone and things like that. That's just basic stuff. We're looking at 55 different categories. If it's a strata property, we look at an additional 25. So up to 80 data points of due diligence. And we provide that in our reports to our clients. And so, what are you looking for? 80 different points of due diligence if you're buying a unit or a house, if there's 55 or so. And so obviously it's got to be important to the brief and the person and what they want, but the quality of the asset is reflected in things that people often don't think about: the lay of the land, drainage, the street, the aspect. Is there power lines nearby? Where's the public housing? What does the street do? What's the local behaviour of some of the neighbours potentially? Is it a crime area? There's too much to go through now, but ultimately, when you're doing something every day like we are, we can very quickly filter, dismiss. And we always say to people, it's not the properties we're buying that are important a lot of the time. It's the ones we don't buy. Because anyone can sign on the dotted line. It's not hard to get a contract, look at a building and pest report and say, yeah, good enough, and sign it. It's knowing, is it the right property? Is there anything we've found that means it's a walkaway, both on the area or the property? What about in terms of the contract terms and things like that? There's many things to do. So the properties we walk away from are as if not more important than the ones we buy. And that's a really big point of difference as to what we do.
Yeah. And I just want to elaborate on that. We have actually, there was one that I can remember very, very clearly several years back that we looked at for a client, a property we looked at for a client. They loved it. They loved the location, the street. It was a renovator, but they were happy to do some work. And we ended up finding out that it was riddled with termites. And so we walked away. We said no money they didn't have the money for a knockdown rebuild. We then saw someone else go and purchase that property without even knowing, and another instance is around the corner. There was a property that sold. We knew what the value was, and we thought, oh no, we don't really have any clients for that at the moment. It was actually purchased a few weeks later by another buyer's agent, not a local one, for like $200,000 more than what the owner would have taken. So you really need to know what to walk away from and where the value lies. And am I paying too much? Am I, getting something that's going to be too much work to maintain and to build up?
And I assume people, if they get involved with a buyer's agent, that's the kind of, I guess, there will come a time where you got to put your foot down, right? Like you have to tell people you can't buy this house.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that's hard for a tough pill for people to swallow. Like Andrew mentioned before, it looks all glitzy on the outside. This is my dream home. And then it's like, well, when you get into the back end of it and the nitty gritty, there's probably times where I'm assuming you've had to maybe
all
break
the time
hearts and say,
not even sometimes.
Hey, don't do this.
A lot of times.
Well, in fact, and I would say, so when a client signs with us, we get a brief and we move through that brief in various ways. There's a very robust process we go through. But ultimately, it could take 5 days to buy a property. It could take 5 months. It depends on the requirements. But during that process, there is usually properties we're encouraging them not to look at and not to buy. Sure. But there has never been a time at the end of the process where they haven't looked back and said, I'm so glad you talked me out of that one. It was just, I don't know what I was thinking. And that's a real, that demonstrates a real potential threat to home buyers without professional representation, because ultimately if they discover that without someone telling them not to and they've already bought it, you're done. You can't undo it. And that in itself is a really big value add to what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you mentioned in the blog that we've done for you on shiretalk.com.au. Again, if you're watching now or you catch it on the replay, the link to the blog that we've done and a really beautiful brand story video for My Property Pro is on shiretalk.com.au. There's a link above or below this video. Now, going back 10 years, maybe before My Property Pro, you guys mentioned that when you were purchasing for the first time, or you were purchasing in the area, that you guys actually went through some of these issues that you've just mentioned, and you kind of felt like there wasn't really anyone around at the time to help people like you. I know, Elsja, you mentioned that it's being an agent on the buying side and the selling side happens a lot over in the States.
Mm-hmm.
Is this something where you felt like you might not have had the guidance from an agent going back maybe 10 years in the Shire, especially?
In the Shire.
I might answer that one. Answer that one, Kevin. That's all right. So buyer's agents have been around for almost 24, 25 years in Sydney generally. But I think the main thing is there's a bit of a misconception that it was reserved for really high-end purchases, prestige property. Sure. And so what you're touching on there is essentially in the eastern suburbs, lower North Shore, inner west, they're a lot more prevalent. In the Shire, not so much. And when we first moved to the Shire quite a while ago, we were buyers. We know what we were doing, and we were buying plenty of properties, and there was a various amount of work in the property industry we'd done, but we didn't feel that there was anyone suitable at that time in the Shire. And look, sorry, say towards that.
Yeah, no, there was no one suitable, and we had used buyers agents in other areas.
Yeah. In other states, we've used buyers agents all over the country and internationally for our own investment properties, and because we don't know those markets to the same degree we do in Sydney. So when we came to the Shire, there was no one who we would consider to be appropriate, and ultimately, would we have used one in Sydney given it was in the Shire? Would have been happy to, because we were moving from out of area. And now a lot of our clients are from out of area, and for the same, you can't know the streets and the agents and what the market is doing. And we see buyers agents come from out of area all the time, overpaying for that exact reason. They feel the value is so good because they're coming from areas where it's more expensive. And so it's not just for prestige property. It's, our average client's probably, paying somewhere from 1.5 to 2 million. We do everything, 15 million, 20 million, but, we buy apartments at 800,000 to 900,000 as well. But so much of what we do is for your, I don't want to use the word average, but median buyer, where it's maybe a family upsizing from a townhouse. And so that's a huge part of it. It's not just for, prestige property buyers. If anything, we provide a lot of value and the most amount of help to those who are stressed with kids and work and trying to get it done by themselves.
And tell me, you guys work closely with traditional real estate agents, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
It's something that you've got many relationships in the Shire with all the big, well-known agents.
Yeah.
What does that mean to work together on the selling side? I mean, you guys obviously complement each other well, I would assume.
Definitely. Well, we help them. Like they help us because they're bringing us stock that many other buyers may not know about, because they know we're professionally representing buyers. They know our buyers are solid and keen, and because we wouldn't take them on as clients. So we help them by bringing them genuine buyers without wasting their time as sales agents. They know that if we go to them with a brief, we're going to have a real buyer for it. And obviously they bring us stock that other buyers won't find out, off market, pre-market, whatever it might be. But importantly as well, the complement is in the deal. So, we know that if we go to a sales agent, we put forward a value, they're going to take us seriously and vice versa. And they help us get vendors to the table and show us stock and, show the vendor that, hey, this is a good deal or whatever it might be. And conversely, we bring to them serious buyers who aren't going to waste their time, because we know, we speak to sales agents. There's a lot of buyers out there who, frankly, are tie kickers. They'll come in, they'll waste a lot of time, not know the right questions to ask, not put forward an offer, not really know how it works, low ball, things like that. And so we're not doing any of that. We're not wasting the sales agent's time. So accordingly, there's a good relationship that develops. And that's probably one of the real key differences of a local buyer's agent, someone who's based in and operating in only the Shire and southern suburbs versus all over a city or maybe interstate, is that you get to know the agents very well, how each one operates, where their particular pocket of the Shire is, because there's different pockets of the Shire where agents specialise as well. And so having that good knowledge of the agent and that good working relationship is paramount to getting the best result. It really is. You see that daily.
I was going to say one other thing on that is there is a bit of a misconception from some people that sales agents don't like buyer's agents because, we're in there trying to get the price down and all that stuff. It couldn't be further from the truth for most of the people that we work with. We actually have had numerous sales agents refer some buyers that have come through their open homes that they see time and time again. And I think this buyer might be struggling. They might need a little bit of help because they haven't been able to get a deal done with them. We've had local sales agents refer their family to us. Sure. So even like one of them referred their son, and that was one of our clients, and his dad is a local sales agent, and they still could understand and appreciate the value that we could provide.
Sure. Let's talk about that value. Let's talk about the actual service. I'm interested to know how deep you go, and anyone watching this who's maybe looking to buy an investment property or their very first home. Like, how deep does the service go? Is there sort of packages, or is it literally like, hey, if you get involved with us, we're going to literally take the reins. You're going to sit back. We're going to inspections. We're doing the auctions. We're doing the due diligence. Like, how hands-off is it for the consumer, for you guys to kind of take over?
Well, there's 3 service levels. There's 3, and we're actually developing a 4th right now for the first, specifically for the first home buyer, which we'll be releasing not in a not too distant future. The baseline service for any buyer's agent is the appraise negotiate, where that due diligence I was talking about. So the property has been found and acquiring the asset. People struggle. Sometimes walking into a property and loving it is the easiest part. How do I buy it, beat competition, not make sure I'm not buying the wrong property, even though it might look flash, and actually negotiating. People are inherently poor at negotiating and paying probably more than they have to for whatever reason. And so the acquisition is really the fundamental service. So we provide that as a standalone. If you want to point out a property you really like, but you're not sure how to acquire it, you don't know how to negotiate, or you maybe don't want to go to auction. Auction bidding is a separate service in itself. But from there, the search functionality is stacked on top of that. So our mid-service is the off-market search, where we can find off-markets. You bring us the on and show us the on-markets. But then, like you've just mentioned, Cam, there is the hand-holding, full service from go to woe. Hand us your brief, sit back, relax, do nothing. We'll filter, we'll inspect, we'll provide videos, widescreen with professional commentary, and we'll send you and we'll make suggestions as to which one is suitable. And then you go inspect it, you like it, then you sit back again, and we'll go through the entire process to acquire that property, through up until exchange, and then we'll handle the settlement as well. Pre-settlement inspection, which is another process in itself, right through, and then you'll get the keys, and we'll be at the key pickup for you as well. So it really depends on people's needs and wants as to what they're wanting from a buyer's agent, be it just auction bidding standalone, you're too scared, we provide that fee for service, or you might want the whole package, which is go to woe and sit back and relax. And this is why we encourage people to speak to previous clients, because we've had previous clients at all different service levels. Yeah. And people want different things, and we provide it. We don't upsell. We don't sort of look at it as an upsell. The fee changes based on how much work and input we have, but it's not about that. It's about finding the right service level for the right client and making sure that at the end of it they feel value no matter what that is. Sure,
love that. Now let's talk about 10 years in the game.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you guys have been around for 10 years, which is huge for any business. But big congrats to you guys.
Thank you.
It's a massive achievement to stick it out and still be kicking and doing great things in the Shire and for the business and for the local community as well. 10 years in the game, huge rebrand happening, which I know, new logos, new websites, new everything. Other than it being 10 years, why now? Is there an ideology behind why we wanted to go all in on a rebrand? Interested to know, maybe our viewers are as well, because it's a big deal to do that. People know you as one thing, and then all of a sudden you go, hey, we're now this color and we're this logo and we're this.
I'm happy to answer that.
It can come across sometimes a little bit confusing. So where did it come from? Why did we just flick the switch and be like, hey, rebrand, let's go?
This is a long time coming for me.
Oh, yeah.
So the original iteration of My Property Pro was started 10 years ago, like we said, with between Andrew and we had a business partner. I was not involved at that stage. I had a different career in corporate.
Sure.
And I was 1 month off giving birth to our first child when we started this business, which was great timing.
Yeah.
But at that time, it was developed, My Property Pro was geared a little bit differently than it is now. It was more towards business, like investors only, not homeowners, a lot of investment advisory, very kind of professional, business-like feel. And I, over the years, once I kind of came on about 4 years ago, and we had a bit more of a shift into focusing solely on the buyer's agency side of things. I felt like it needed to be more personal, and a bit just lighter and calming. And I feel like before it was just not kind of telling who we were as people. It was not.
The business evolved.
You've grown.
Yeah,
You've grown into what it was and where you are now as
and just like what we kind of want to offer and what we want to, the messages we want to portray. We want to, show people that we're down to earth. We're a family and we have gone through the same hardships of buying our first home. But we also invest, so we can relate to investment purchasers, and we are Shire locals, and we're just like you, and we're just like, we moved from out of area, so we can relate to the people that have moved from other parts of Sydney or other parts of the country. So we kind of get it, and we just want it to be more relatable, more down to earth, more, just to show someone that we can represent them and they can just relax. This doesn't have to be a stressful period of time for them. I mean, we can't take away all the stress, but we can hopefully help alleviate some of it. And we just wanted to feel fresh and kind of give that message.
Yeah, no, I love that. And I think it does look great. The new branding looks beautiful. The website is awesome. Again, if you're watching above or below, go and check them out. Now, before we knock this video off for the morning, Andrew, you mentioned to me the other day, September, it's a big month for, I'm assuming, buyer's agents and real estate agents. Did you call it buying season or selling season? It was either or. Is it buying season? Is this where everyone goes a little bit crazy to get their hands on a property? Or is it similar where people are thinking about selling at the same time?
It depends on the stock levels, Cam, I guess, and as to which way it goes.
Sure, yeah.
So, look, it's an interesting one, though. We do know there's more stock coming. We speak to, like I said, we speak to sales agents all the time. There's definitely more stock coming. But one mistake
is that a thing? Like, is it traditionally this time of the year where houses are popping up on the market? Is that sort of?
It definitely is. People often wait to spring to list their property, and agents will say, list it, in the month before if the demand's good. Don't wait until spring because more stock will come. But we also know that more stock brings out more buyers. We know because we get quite a lot of inquiry, a few a week, and some of them will say, look, I'm just going to wait until more stock comes before I sign up with you guys. Yeah, which is potentially dangerous because if they're waiting, then other buyers are waiting as well. Sure. And there's still really a massive underlying demand. So there was a group of agencies. I saw a stat the other day. There was 5 agencies in this one group, and last year in the quarter they'd sold 237 properties and met 3,000 buyers. This year, same quarter, same number of sales, 237, and met 5,500 buyers. Wow. There was a massive increase. So there's a huge demand for the same number of sales. So for people watching, if you're waiting until the stock comes out to try and transact, don't do it. If you're ready to buy, start to buy, because stock can create pressure downwards on prices, yes, but it also brings out buyers. And so from our point of view, at this stage, the demand is there to underpin any change in stock levels anyway. And so to answer your question, we're yet to see it, mate. We're yet to see it. I think it'll be a bit of both. And I think from our point of view, we're seeing more inquiry again tick up as soon as spring starts. We often do. We usually do. But there's going to be a bit more selling happening as well. So I would say at this stage we're pretty balanced. Depends on the price point, but I wouldn't call it either right now.
Yeah, got it. Now, listen, let's wrap this up. How can people get involved? What is the first step to getting involved with a buyer's agent? Is it literally picking up the phone call? Is it sitting down over a coffee? Is it jumping on the website? How do you guys sort of vet, the customer coming to you for the first time and understanding what they want? How do they do it?
Well, we want them to be a couple of things. We want them to be emotionally ready, mentally ready to buy. And we also really want them to be finance ready. So finance ready is pretty black and white. They don't need to be like on the dot pre-approval done, but at least in the process and they've got a good chance. There's no point in us taking on a client unless they have a really good chance of getting finance. When I say emotionally, mentally ready, we will do a very high level vetting of the client, and it's not an arrogance thing. It's just that we want to make sure people are engaging us for the right reasons, not just being unrealistic because you're using a buyer's agent. You're going to get a 20% discount. It doesn't work that way. The value proposition is multifold, which we can discuss maybe another time, and we'll go through that with people on the phone. But ultimately, we'll ask for at a high level what their purchase price is, what roughly their budget, what areas they're looking at, what type of property. And they'll, generally speaking, give us that information, and then we'll send them information and book a call or a meeting in person. So we're not vetting the client per se. It's more making sure that they've got the capacity to buy what they want to buy and they're not being unrealistic. And also they're engaging us for the right reasons. And conversely, we're wanting to build that trust with them. They need to be comfortable with us and make sure they trust us, and we're not just going to take them for a ride either, which will never be the case. So we converse. Sometimes it takes people a couple of months if they're just starting the process. Sometimes people call us, we speak to them, we send the information, they've signed up inside of 48 hours. So everyone has their own journey and we respect that. And of course, we're very much willing and able to take people on. An important point though is we don't take on competing briefs, which is a huge point of difference. A lot of buyers agents will. We can't take on two people who want a house in Cronulla for $3 million, for example. We can't because we don't want two internal clients competing for the same product. And so we'll make sure from the outset we don't have anyone at that brief level, or we either put them on a wait list, which we often have wait lists at price points, or we just say, look, we can't help you at this time. Thank you. We'll call them once we've bought.
I didn't actually think about that. So you'll work with, it's very exclusive then, is I guess what you're sort of saying. Like if you get the same person over and over and over looking for the same house in the same area for the same price, you kind of cut that somewhere, don't you? You can't obviously have everyone move into the same place. So it becomes very exclusive to who you want to work with.
Yeah. And not in an arrogant way. It's just the nature of the job.
No, I get it. Sure.
We don't really have a choice. We can't ethically have, and arguably legally, can't have people competing internally for the same property. Now, we've got 3 full-time buyers agents. There's Elsja, myself, and Curtis. And we're all working on every brief. So you're getting 3 full-time buyers agents working for you. And so we cap the number of clients we take on in absolute terms, regardless, because we want to make sure the service levels are there across the briefs. But we also can't take on competing briefs as well. So it is, there's a fee involved, but there's, like I said, there's multi-value prop, and we'll discuss that with clients, when they contact us. You're free to fill out the contact form, call the number direct, send us an email to the info@mypropertypro.com.au or any one of us. All the information's on the website. Feel free to get in touch any way you feel comfortable.
Love that.
Yeah. Another thing I would suggest is Facebook groups. If you've got questions or if you're curious, there's a lot of talk in Facebook, some of the local Facebook groups about buyer's agents, and they're getting a bit more popular. And so, people ask questions in there if they kind of want to suss it out before making that first step to call us or whatever. But yeah, we're always even just happy to have a chat, like no obligations, have a call, provide our thoughts on whether or not your brief is actually feasible. You don't have to sign up for us to tell you that. And just go from there.
Yeah. And you mentioned it before. I think get on the website, guys, go and check out the Google reviews, go and check out clients that My Property Pro have worked with in the past, and get a feel for who they are and get a feel for the positive reviews and the process that some of these clients have gone through with the team from My Property. But hey, let's wrap it up there. We've covered a lot. Like I said, the biggest thing from my end is to put a face or faces to the name of a brand. You're going to be seeing a lot more from My Property Pro, from Shire Talk. As I said, they're 10 years in the game. We're helping them relaunch the brand new rebrand website, logos, everything in between. Thanks for joining me, guys.
Thanks for having us, Ken. It's been a pleasure.
I'll see all you guys on the next video. But until then, have a great Monday and see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.